We are just hours away from the coronation of King Charles. The king took a walk along the Mall earlier with Prince William and Princess Kate to greet supporters. Many are waiting in anticipation for the historic ceremony, but some say the traditional pomp and circumstance can also be a reminder of the British Empire and its colonial past. Our Deborah Roberts is in London with more.
As Charles ascended the throne last September, across the globe, several of the 14 Commonwealth realms showed their support for their new head of state. From Canada,
long live the king,
to the Bahamas,
God save the king,
and Australia.
God save the king.
But not all are rejoicing in the Commonwealth.
It is this symbol of white supremacy. It is this link to the colonial era.
The Crown's history of colonialism cutting deep in countries like Jamaica.
I don't see what they are doing for us here in Jamaica,
where some say the wealth of the former empire was built on the backs of those it once enslaved.
That wealth is something we never shared in. So for us in Jamaica, the monarchy is a harsh reminder of our unfortunate past.
What about the ripple effect? What was the ripple effect?
Well, the ripple effect was twofold. One, Britain became wealthy. There's no better example of the wealth displayed in the country than you'll see in the coronation. And then the flip side of that is you also have poverty. Most people live in conditions which are just as bad as they were 100 years ago under the British Empire. So the legacy of the empire is deep poverty in the black and brown parts of the world and wealth in the white part of the world.
In recent years, the monarchy has started to publicly acknowledge its imperial past. Last spring, Charles and Camilla visiting Canada, where he reflected on the United Kingdom's treatment of the indigenous people there.
We must find new ways to come to terms with the darker and more difficult aspects of the past, acknowledging, reconciling, and striving to do better.
Barbados was the latest country to sever its ties to the monarchy, declaring itself a republic in 2021, removing the Queen as its head of state. Charles attending its transition ceremony and speaking about slavery on the island.
From the darkest days of our past and the appalling atrocity of slavery, which forever stains our history,
Jamaica now considering following suit. Its Prime Minister, Andrew Holness, had a blunt message for Prince William when he visited last year.
We are moving on, and we intend to fulfill our true ambitions and destiny as an independent, developed, prosperous country.
An apology from the king could come with a steep cost. Some Caribbean countries calling for reparations to right the wrongs of the past.
He stopped short of apologizing.
Yeah.
Should he?
Well, it'd be nice if he apologized. Once you apologize, that means you're saying you're guilty of something, and then people can call for reparations. So I'll be very surprised if he apologizes, because it opens up the royal family to be sued for millions of pounds.
Our thanks to Deborah Roberts in London for that report. And I want to bring in ABC News contributor, SiriusXM radio host Mike Muse for more on this. Mike, there's been a lot of talk about modern changes to the monarchy. How crucial is modernization to the monarchy's survival? And what do you think it would look like for the royal family in terms of healing its racial history?
So those are two separate, dynamics at play within that question. The first on the modernization of the royal family. But I look at King Charles' reign as going to be, how do you transition going from Queen Elizabeth, where she was reigning for so long that we knew her so well, and so the ways of the monarchy was almost normalized. What we're seeing now is that hands-off approach from the royal family, not really engaging and getting down with the public. That doesn't really bode well in today's society. Even if you think at your current pop stars or artists, the fan base of the artists want to have so many touch points with their artists. They want to see what they're up to on Instagram. They want to know who they're dating. They want to know who they're eating. They want more of a connectivity with their artists. It's no different than what individuals would want to see from their monarchy, from the royal family and the modernization. And so really, King Charles is going to have to be that transitional king from traditional ways of normalization that we saw from Queen Elizabeth, the transition to where we are in current society, in preparation for what we know eventually at some point in time will be Prince William, who is of this era and generation of modernization and understanding information and how society is thinking currently and presently. When it comes to the race dynamic, is that, they're going to, yes, they're going to have a conversation around what is going to be the strategy going forward and how they want to address it.
Mike, when it comes to issues of race, how much do you think the rift with Meghan and Harry hurt the royal family, and how do you see that playing out under King Charles?
I think the rift between Meghan and Harry allow for this a conversation to be opened. A lot of times these conversations were happening in private, and these conversations were happening with the countries that the UK has colonized. And so what it does is it allows for a global discourse on race. It allows for a global discourse on colonization and how that we move forward. So what they did was ignite the conversation and allows England to deal with the difficult past of racism. How do they address it, and then how do they find a pathway forward for healing amongst all the global communities?
So, Mike, what are you watching for on Saturday and going forward?
What I'm really watching for is what message is King Charles going to send? Does he become more deliberate in his speech about things like climate change? I'm curious to see what social issues that he's thinking about in terms of things he wants to amplify in messages in community service, because they can't legislate. And so I'm really signaling, too, in terms of how he wants to engage with the United Kingdom. And then those will be the telltale signs of how we'll be able to get signals of how he wants his reign to be as a transitional king.
All right, Mike Muse, always great to have you. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.